I think in the first two games, that group of players has played well together. We've played some man, we've played some zone, we've played some match defense, we've blitzed a little bit. So I think that, against Cincinnati, I thought they played very well. This past weekend. You saw Cincinnati this past weekend. I don't know what they threw for 65 against us, and then he went out and threw for 350 last weekend against whoever they played. And so obviously I think that that's one of the strengths of our group. Individually, I think we've got players that can play man-to-man, and then we've got enough guys with multiple skill sets to play some of the other concepts we're playing. So far, so good.
What does a shutout mean to you?
Nothing, honestly. I didn't know until after the game. What was it, since 2009? Is that right? Mm-hmm. So that's pretty cool, right? I mean, that's a big. It doesn't mean nothing, but like we're trying to play to a standard, and I think that at times against Cincinnati we played to that standard, and at times we didn't. And against Akron, I think we played to that standard more, but we still have ways to go and ways to develop. And on defense, ultimately, your job is to prevent them from scoring, so 0 points is outstanding. I don't really ever care about yards, passing yards, rushing yards. I care about explosive yards. Giving up explosive plays leads to winning or losing a game, and obviously giving up points leads to winning or losing a game. So I think it's pretty cool that we had the shutout, but I didn't know until hours after the game. Somebody said it was since 2009, so I think that's a pretty cool thing.
How would you evaluate the run defense? Did you see some improvements from week 1 to week 2 as far as what you want to see out of that group?
I think it's a work in progress. I think it's a combination of how we play combined with the schemes that we're calling, combined with the execution of some of the run blitzes we're running, and also a little bit of it is like you go back to the Cincinnati game. 96 yards. It was quarterback run, quarterback scramble, really. So that just comes down to keeping guys in the pocket. And then last week, we gave up 6 10-yard runs, and no excuse for any of them. But one was a call I made right before the end of the half, where I was playing cover 2 and they ran the ball, and we're just trying to get out of there. And the other one was the last play of the game, where, So I think at the end of the game, we felt like overall our run defense got better. We put some things in to help us schematically. And really it's about our collective defense. I don't think anybody needs to get hung up on they're running it or they can't throw it. They need to get hung up on, are they scoring points and are they effectively moving the football on us, which they were 1 for 14 on third down and scored 0 points. So
that defensive end spot with Lenhart, Winery, and Petchak through 2 games. A couple of young players now have kind of flashed moments. What is that a nature of the position in the scheme to make that it's going to be one where you produce plays?
So Petchak played some tackle this weekend, which the biggest challenge for you as a coach is, not me personally, but all of us, is don't pigeonhole players into a role that you think they are. Put them in the best possible position to make plays. So we put Petchak in a different position. He went out there and made plays. And really, when you look at our defense, the end position and the tackle position in a lot of our 3-down fronts are very, very similar. So I think we have to continue to identify the winners, the most competitive, the toughest, the ones that give the most effort, the ones that execute the best, the ones that care about their teammates the most. We're continuing to find them. We're finding some of them in our younger guys, which we have no problem playing younger players as long as they fit and play to that standard. So, Cade, Williams, obviously Cam's been pretty consistent. Gabe Moore did some things for us out there. He's a big human that can help us in the inside of our defense. So,
what is it about Cade that allowed him as a true freshman, like so early, without even being here in the spring, to contribute like this?
I think he's got great DNA when it comes to being a football player. Like, I don't know if you guys know him at all, but he's got that look in his eye. He's got a little bit. I told the guys the other day, I coached 10 years in the NFL, and all the best defensive linemen I've ever been around had a little bit something off on about them, in a good way, meaning that they were there because they knew that was the toughest and most physical position that you're going to play in, and you're battling every Sunday. And then you look at Cade, and he has that look about him that he's going to play really hard, play very physical, play with a lot of passion. We wanted to play him a little bit more in the Kansas City, in the Cincinnati game, and did not. That's our fault. We should have played him more. But when he played this past weekend, he played to a level that we expect him to play and continue to get better, and I think he's going to help us. I think he'll be a steady member of that front moving forward.
How do you feel like Dasan McCullough played in the first, kind of a different role in the first 2 games?
Yeah. I think the number one thing you think about with Dasan is very active. It's unfortunate he had a sack that got taken off the board because it was like an inadvertent swipe to the face mask, and he would have had a sack in the game. Had a batted ball in the first game. We move him around a lot. I think he's going to have to continue to embrace that role with us where he can rush in 4 down, he can drop, he can blitz in multiple areas. I've been happy with how hard he's been playing. He's a guy that consistently is running around and trying to make plays within the system. I'm happy with his production at this point, and I think that he's definitely, again, kind of in those lines with Petchak and Williams and, the guys that we have to kind of make sure we're putting in the right spots to impact the game on our defense as much as possible.
It feels like he's got to be pretty smart to do all the things you guys are asking him to do because he's moving around a lot, even right before the snap.
Mm-hmm. Smart and prepared, and he's experienced. He played at 2 other schools and played a lot of football, and I think that his execution level has been pretty good, on point. It's funny, he makes some mistakes early in the week, but really I can tell he studies and prepares because by the time the game comes, he's pretty consistent with his execution level. But I think every position in this defense, you have to have multiple. We're going to be in 3 down fronts, 4 down fronts, 5 down fronts. We're going to rush 3, 4, 5. We're going to run multiple coverages. So it requires you to prepare, and it requires you to take a professional approach to how you prepare to play each Saturday. And we're trying to run an NFL defense, an NFL program, an NFL system, so that if they aspire to play at that level, that's not a jump when they get there.
How vital has Buford been, not just his play, but his voice and holding people accountable? Matt mentioned he said some things Saturday that he's like.
Yeah, experience is key. Keese has been here for a long time. I think we found a pretty good role for him. Last year when I was coaching the secondary, I knew he was one of our best 5, and I played him at corner a little bit, and probably wasn't the best place for him. And then we moved him to the nickel, and those times he played well there. But I think safety and kind of being in the middle of the field and being in the deep spaces of the field and being a little bit of an eraser, I think that's been a good role for him so far in the first 2 games. That I think has been positive, and I think that the more you get into your season, the more you're going to have some kind of roadblocks and some hurdles you're going to have to overcome based on either how you play or who the opponent is or just how a season works itself out. So veteran presence and veteran leadership, guys that have been through it, I think are going to be helpful, and he's definitely one of the guys we'll lean on.
What's the challenge with Houston Christian? Is their style of offense and what they'll present?
Yeah, I think that they do a good job of running the ball. They're pretty consistent with how they're presenting their run game, and they have some RPOs off of it that I think are challenging because anytime you overcommit to the run game, you got the chance instead of throwing play action, people throw the RPOs over your head, and they've made some plays there. But really when it comes down to even no matter who it is, whether it's Cincinnati or whether it's Akron or Houston Christian or Michigan next week or Michigan State the following week, we have a healthy respect for them. But a lot of what we do out there on the practice field is making sure that we're executing our defense, having an awareness of what they're going to do, but making sure that fundamentally and physicality and effort-wise, as well as execution-wise, we're on point so that they don't get lost in this guy. I hate it when a player says, I thought this play was coming. I just want them to do their job and read their keys and execute the defense. So there's a healthy understanding of each opponent, but at the end of the day, it comes down to you executing your fundamentals, playing hard as hell, and playing together. That was easy today. Thank you, man. Thank you very much.